So, um, you are here because you want to hear more about uh, a possible life where social media doesn't run all of yours. And yeah, I have been over the past year in particular, I've been talking a lot about how we don't necessarily have to be on social media or jump through all the hoops that it wants us to jump through. And I think it's a particularly relevant message right now. So, but yeah, I want to share with you some of what I've been sharing with other folks. All right. So yeah, just a little about me. I'm the creative director and benevolent overlord of Upswept Creative. And we are in our 15th year of doing business in
Wow.
websites and online marketing, which is that's a number that's wild to think about. But suffice it to say, we've learned some things and we know what we're doing at this point. Um, and so I like to joke that I'm a website nerd that accidentally became a marketer because I do have over 20 years of experience building websites. I am from the old internet. I have seen all of the things, but learning about the marketing and the content side of things over the past decade or so has really helped me understand all of the different facets of what makes a successful website. So it's sort of expanded outward into the marketing space. Um, I'm out here. I just want to help people who are doing good things for other people. I most enjoy working with service-based businesses and nonprofits, and just solving problems and taking things off your plate so that ethical and passionate folks can do more of what they do best. I mean, that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. And yeah, I miss when the internet was good, but while we do seem to be inundated with slop at this point in time, there still are some beautiful little nuggets. There have been some really powerful things that have happened through and because of the internet. So I still feel optimistic that it can be better and we can make choices that support that. So going forward. So we're all here because there's a belief that we need to be on social media to be build our businesses, be recognized as legitimate businesses, whatever that means. It's a known resource for getting eyes on you and what you have to share. Um, it's going to make your brand more visible and discoverable. That's the idea anyway. Because your audience has to know you exist before they can choose to work with you. So if your audience is on social, then having a presence there does make them ostensibly more likely to discover you. Um, and if you're not on page one of Google, you might need some help bringing website traffic into your website. So social media can absolutely help with that if you're doing it right, especially when you're promoting a specific offering or launching a new one. Um, and engagement and nurturing is also something that social can be quite good for. You've already probably heard the saying that it takes like approximately 11 billion touches at this point to get a sale. Like the number keeps going up every time someone shares that statistic. And that's what we mean by nurture. So social media, it is a method to remind your potential clients of who you are and what you do and why you're so darned brilliant that they should absolutely work with you. Um, but in recent years, there have been some pretty major changes to what the social media landscape looks like. So yeah, TikTok came up against a potential ban, and then it came to some sort of agreement with the federal government to get back into the App Store, and now it's being bought by shady venture capitalists. And early last year, Meta fired its fact checkers, updated its policies in ways that make it feel like a really unsafe place for strategically disadvantaged populations. And AI generated content is just flooding social media feeds, and that's simultaneously adding more content to compete with but somehow fewer actually unique ideas. And so all of that, it honestly made me uncomfortable even offering social media services for a good chunk of 2025. Like it feels like social media is seems like it's actively trying to become less ethical, less interesting, and harder to use. But then I reminded myself of something very important, and I thought you all could use the reminder too, which is that you don't actually have to be on any social platform. And I know it's really easy to get caught up in the hype and the shoulds and the you have to be on Instagram or you've got to be on TikTok or whatever else, or you should start doing YouTubes, people. A lot of sources love to throw that advice out there, but that's particularly the more problematic platforms like Meta platforms, TikTok, they aren't the only game in town. And to extend that, social media is not the only method you have to reach people. And there are other channels that are going to offer you more flexibility, more control, and better relationship building. And there are quite a few reasons why you may not want to be rushing to jump into the social media fray anyway. So, um, kind of an unpopular opinion, but I am honestly of the belief that many small businesses maybe aren't actually ready for social media. And I don't mean ready in terms of preparedness. I'm talking more in terms about what stage your business is in. Now, fully, when I talk about social media, I mean in the terms of like fully managed social media, where you're actually maintaining a consistent presence, posting multiple times a week. It's something that takes a ton of time and energy and money if especially if you're having someone do it for you. And if you're a new business, that's a lot of resources that you may not have to funnel towards a channel that probably won't start moving the needle for your business until months later. If you're making your first forays into online marketing, I'm more likely to suggest another channel like email, for example. But generally speaking, I would say that you probably don't really need to look at a marketing undertaking as big as social media until you're at the point where you've grown your business as far as you can through things like referrals and networking. And there are some pretty great reasons to jump at least some of these social platforms, if not all of them. A really common one is that you're not seeing a return on the time or money you're putting into it. If you're doing that consistently and you're not seeing any real results from it, then maybe it's not the right space for you. And I'm thinking in terms of, a lot of times we get caught up in like the feel good metrics of like, oh, I got 80 likes on this, or I have X number of followers now. But thinking about taking that a step further to like, what does that actually mean in terms of my business? Like, are any of those 80 people actually clicking through to your website or buying anything from you? Because they often aren't or may not be. But you can also be looking at each individual platform that way as well. In fact, my business, we stopped actively posting on Facebook a couple months ago because we just hadn't been seeing valuable returns from it when we compared it to the other platforms that we are on. And a lot of the folks in our target audience had either like left Facebook or were in the process of doing so. There have been a lot of audience changes over the past year and change. So that's definitely something to consider. Even if you're looking to like pare down the amount of time you're spending on social media, then yeah, just like look at each platform and be like, is this still serving me? And the algorithm is also a really fickle creature. And, between format and optimal posting times and varying audiences, it can be really difficult to know whether something you post is going to actually um, get you any results or not. And you don't have a lot of control over how many of your followers see it. And the statistics are honestly pretty depressing. Some reports have shown that only 2 to 6% of your followers will see your average organic social posting. So if you've got like, yeah, if you've got like 200 followers, you're gonna get maybe 12 of those people. So not exactly encouraging. And and yeah, also not wanting to give money to attention or attention to billionaires is something that motivates me to be there less. A lot of us are really not stoked about the way social media has affected our culture. And if you feel that way too, then your attention is your secret weapon there. The fact that we engage with it and give it our attention is what gives social media value. So if you don't believe in what Meta or any other billionaire-backed social platform does with that, then you are not required to feed it. All right, how are we doing so far? Great, great. If you have questions or anything, yeah, feel free to drop things in the chat as we go. All right, but yeah, I have spent a lot of these first few minutes dumping on social media, but there's got to be a reason why anyone does it, right? Like, so there are some things to consider as you think about how involved you want to be on social media. It is still free to use. If you've seen some results from it in the past and it doesn't feel like it'll eat your soul to keep doing it, it may be worth sticking around to, keep your business humming. And organic social media in particular tends to be a slower burn. It takes time to build up an audience. So it's like if you want to stick around, if it feels like something you can handle, it might be worth doing, thinking in terms of like laying the groundwork for future you. Similarly, if you've built up an audience in that space who they like you, they like what you have to offer, and you don't just want to throw that away, especially if there are potential clients in that audience who are, maybe somewhere in the middle of that nurture cycle that, maybe they've only got like, you know, 80 billion, 80 billion touches instead of the 11 billion. Like, and it is, it has historically been a pretty powerful and useful venue for amplifying ideas and just causes, for the moment at least. But we've seen that it can be a really incredible tool for sharing information, shining a light on issues that might go unnoticed otherwise. I mean, I feel like we saw it at the height of Black Lives Matter in 2020, and it's just kind of kept going because, all of this. But but yeah, I also know firsthand how much impact social media can have, even in a system that's stacked against us. Just from like working with my clients in the nonprofit space. So my feeling is that, if the work on social media is actually going to help just causes and gain visibility that changes minds and builds movements, then that is work worth doing if you have the capacity to. And that is what I want to highlight at this point, because we are not going to post our way out of all of this. So before I go any further, I want to emphasize that you yourself should also be a top priority in your decision making. We should not be sacrificing ourselves on the altar of our own businesses. I mean, a lot of us do, or a lot of us have. I certainly have in the past. But it is absolutely okay to, number one, protect your peace. Social media is not a neutral space, and it feels unsafe for a lot of folks strategically undervalued communities. I have had clients who, do diversity, equity, and inclusion work, for example, and they just flat out said, I don't even want to engage with social media because it does not feel safe for me. So your safety and your mental health matters, and you have the right to choose where your attention goes. And on the flip side of that, if social media is a significant piece of what's working for your business in terms of marketing, you don't have to feel pressured to make a sweeping change that's going to hurt your business. It can feel really gross ethically, but you'll be able to make more of a difference in the world if you're doing what you're meant for, looking after your livelihood and able to give more to your communities. So if reducing your dependence on social is a goal for you, though, you're better off doing that incrementally. And we'll talk a little bit about that. All right. That's checking in. Yeah, any questions, comments, concerns? All right. All right. So if we are not doing social or if we are looking to move away from it, yeah, how else can you reach your audience? And so first thing I would look at is moving to, oh, I see a hand up. All
Yeah,
right.
hey Sarah, this is a
I,
great presentation. I just
yeah.
wanted to make a comment. The last section you did about not all businesses being ready for social media, I think that needs to be, I think, broken down a lot further because I just hired somebody for social media and it's a lot of different content calendars, a lot of different, here's your outreach strategy, here's the reposting on LinkedIn. How do they know who to repost on LinkedIn? Like it's a spider web of stuff. And
Mhm.
it's taking people's like, do blogs, do audio or whatever, podcasts. I'm like, that's a lot of stuff for a business owner to be doing. And does it make sense based on the business? And I think service-based businesses like mine, I think need more me talking or podcast stuff versus product-based businesses where, social media, people are just buying your stuff anyway. So that's a nice thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah, I feel like in particular, we're just like we've been in a moment these past several years where, it's just like we're all being expected to do more and more and more as business owners, and that's not going to be sustainable going forward. So yeah, I definitely agree that it's good to be it's good to be aware of just like the amount of time and energy that goes into something, like even if you do hire someone to help you manage it. All right. So yeah, reaching your audience. If you are unhappy with a particular social platform, you can be looking at different ones. It's always an option. I feel like it's a great excuse to reevaluate your marketing and make sure you're in the right spaces. So, has your audience changed? What platforms were they using? Are they still using them? Are they moving somewhere else? For example, when during the whole like possible TikTok ban period, a lot of people who were thriving in that space with their video content started pivoting towards YouTube. So the different a different platform can work for you with outreach. There's, obviously going to be some like foundational groundwork to lay down there, but yeah, a different platform can just offer a different energy almost. Like I found myself saying that I've had some of the most genuine interactions on LinkedIn, which I never saw myself saying that in 1,000 years. But I feel like, for me at least, that's been like a more positive space and a more like honest and interactive space than say Instagram. So, your mileage may vary, but it's worth considering other platforms. And then driving your following towards your email list. I feel like that is an all the time strategy. I am a big proponent of email marketing for a few reasons. One is that, everyone's using email. Not everyone's going to be on the same social platform. Everybody's going to be checking their email. At least, even those of us who don't have desk jobs, we're going to be checking it occasionally. You can also bring in a lot of really cool automation that can be really helpful. You know that your entire list, like your email is going to land in the inbox of your entire list. And the audience that you gather is yours to take anywhere. If you want to switch email platforms, you can just export that list of people, import it on a new platform. That audience belongs to you. Nobody can take it from you. Whereas not so much true in the social media space. Um, Optimizing your website for search is also something to consider in terms of outreach. And SEO is probably one of the more neutral ways to get found by people who need what you have on offer. AI assisted search may or may not change that in the future. We're kind of still monitoring what that looks like. But the good news is a lot of the best practices for organic search and AI assisted search seem to be largely the same. So if you're already using best practices with SEO, then you might not need to do much else differently. And then really just look at other forms of outreach that you enjoy. Yeah, like podcasting was just mentioned, for example. But yeah, the main goal of social media for a lot of folks is outreach and it's getting discovered. So if there is another activity that you do for outreach that you actually enjoy, like just lean into that. Get folks listening to your podcasts. If you love a live audience, do some presentations or webinars. If you are on Substack, you can drive your audience that direction. But really use those other channels to help get you and keep you in front of the right people. But no matter what you choose, I always remind folks to ask themselves, do I have the capacity for this? And does this fit my style? And will my audience see or hear it? So, um, let's go into how do we know what channels are even right for us in the first place? So that can be a pretty complicated question because there are a lot of factors, and you can really end up falling down a rabbit hole and trying to get too granular about it. So if you're looking to make a change, I think there are two major things you can be prioritizing as you think this through. One is, whoa, let me back up there. There we go. Where is your audience spending their time? So simply put, if your audience isn't using a particular platform, you don't need to be there. As I mentioned, my business stopped posting on Facebook late last year because we were getting better results from other platforms. Our audience was leaving Facebook, so we didn't need to be there. And there are some general guides around like, which demographics are on which platforms, but I always encourage folks to go deeper than that. So yeah, what do they do in their day to day and what roles do they play? Um, and what's happening in their lives and when they do engage with an online space, like why are they even there? Maybe they're on Instagram because they want to see cat videos and they don't want to hear about marketing, which is a theory I've had in relation to my own business because Lord knows I use Instagram for cat videos. But as a more concrete example, I recently recommended LinkedIn to a client who is offering career coaching because if there is any time when you would fire up your LinkedIn account, it is when you are looking to make a career change. So that is a place where their audience is bound to show up. And similarly, I often get more traction through email marketing because a lot of the people I want to reach are maybe a little frustrated with social media and they're looking for another way. And a lot of those folks may simply have checked out of social media because they don't want to deal with it. So yeah, think about your audience and where they're coming from and what they're gonna be doing in their lives, in their days. And secondly, I always like to ask my clients what types of content they enjoy making, or conversely, what they don't like to create. So yeah, I encourage you to think about that. Um, think about what formats you like to create in. If you hate making videos, you will find every excuse in the book not to make that video. Ask me how I know. Let's think about the things that come more easily to you. If you like to write, if you're a really good presenter, and just listen to that for a second, just like plug into your body. Like, do I want to throw up when I think about doing this type of content? Then like don't do it. The more you have to force it, the less likely you are to do it. So we really just want to like remove those barriers as much as we possibly can. And in a similar vein, if you hate making videos, then you probably wouldn't choose TikTok or YouTube. You want to use a channel that capitalizes on your strengths. So choose something where you know you'll be able to communicate your ideas and show yourself off. Again, I really enjoy email marketing. I have a weekly newsletter, and that's just because I really enjoy sharing ideas through the written word. So that's the channel that I've chosen to really emphasize. Um, and then I'm always encouraging folks to be honest with themselves about how much time and energy they can put in and what's going to be sustainable over time. And through any channel that you're using, consistency is going to serve you better in the longer term. So you don't necessarily want to set these like super high, like, I'm going to post something every day type of expectations for yourself if you know you won't be able to maintain that. So really, I would say pick one new thing at a time, and just really keep tabs on how much time it takes you, and yeah, and how it hits you energetically, and just kind of adapt that until you find a pace where you can really run with it for the long haul. All right. Do we have any questions at this point? I have the worst time finding the chat window when I'm in screen sharing mode, so. Oh yeah, feel free to do a raised hand or anything if that's helpful to you. All right. All right, we'll keep it running. All right. Now, if you are not quitting social platforms in the near future, but you still kind of want to stick it to the man, hit them where it hurts, the single biggest thing you can do in that realm is to divest from ad buys. The vast majority of any social media's platform's revenue comes from ads. Excuse me. So if you're depriving them of that revenue, that alone can send a really powerful message. And social media ads are maybe not so great anyway. So you often need a bigger budget than you think. Like you can boost a post on Meta for as little as like, oh, they're like, oh yeah, $2 a day, whatever. But those low ticket buy-ins can be kind of deceiving. And most social ads experts will tell you these days you'll need a minimum budget of probably a few $1,000s to make your advertising efforts on social worth pursuing. So those $10 campaigns aren't super likely to make significant impacts on your leads or your bookings. So yeah, the only person who really benefits from that is Mark Zuckerberg. Um, and the other terrible part of that is that once you go in on that $10 campaign and that campaign ends, your other content takes a hit after a boost. You're not imagining it, but but yeah, if you've ever noticed that your other content tends to receive lower than usual visibility do an ad run, the algorithm likes to play games with us, and it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. It sees that you are willing to dish out your hard-earned cash to boost your content, and it'll respond by deprioritizing your other content because they want you to think you need ads in order to get eyes on your content so that you will keep spending. So, if we want to work towards a strategy that doesn't need paid ad buys, um, we can strengthen our presence on other platforms. And a simple first step is to just share content that you create on other platforms. Like if you wrote a post for Instagram on a really key topic, you can reshare that on LinkedIn. You could maybe do an expanded version of that post for your email list. You could chunk it out into a thread of posts on Blue Sky. I mean, definitely take that piece of content and reuse it. If your audience is on another platform, it doesn't have to be a heavy burden. There are post scheduling tools. So you can use that to show up in other places. Hi, sorry about that. My internet connection went wonky for a second. All right. All right, let's get back on track here. All right. All right. We're back. All right. So, driving your audience towards other channels. Yeah. So, the number one end goal of all your social media activities is to get your audience to ultimately leave the social platform. If you want to turn that audience into clients and sales, you need them to click away from the social platform to do something, whether that is visiting your website, joining your email list, or whatever else. And this is especially important if you want to leave social media altogether. You want to get the people who are in your ideal audience and who are engaging with you to follow you on a different channel. So you can keep them in your orbit whenever your social media presence finally goes dormant. All right. And I see a raised hand. So yeah, go ahead.
There. So I know you mentioned like email and LinkedIn, and I think you like briefly mentioned Blue Sky. Like, are there other channels that you recommend?
Um, yeah, that's one of those. It depends because it really depends on your audience and what and where they are spending their time.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, yeah, I mentioned Blue Sky. I feel like that platform is like kind of still in its early stages. Yeah, there was a I feel like it's not really a place for like larger brands, which not super relevant for small business, not a super concerning thing for small business owners, but yeah, it's definitely, it's not at like, the like old days Twitter where, everyone was on there and including like Wendy's and Burger King and whatever. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
but
thanks.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. And then yeah, I'm seeing questions that came up in the chat now. Yeah, so organic social media, that just means social media that you are posting without ads or boosts or any paid revenue behind it. Um, and then what are some completely non-social media options? Yeah. I feel like we've mentioned some of that. So yeah, email is definitely yeah, you can do email marketing. Yeah, as far as outreach, I feel like we touched on that a little bit, like, starting podcasts, doing presentations, or just degular networking if you feel like there's still ground to cover there. Um, but yeah, it's really, I think really the really important thing is like thinking about how I'm doing my outreach because I think a lot of times folks are thinking about just like being discovered. That's that's what we're thinking about when we're trying to think about alternatives to social media. Okay. All right. So yeah, shoring up your organic social media strategy is also something that you want to be doing if you want to stop using paid ads, if you've been using them and you want to move away from that. So if your organic social media postings haven't been super on point, you'll want to make plans to build consistency. Because the more results you see from your organic activities on social media, then the less you'll need to use ad buys as a crutch. Um, and how you do that? I think the simplest way to think about it is just keeping consistency and interestingness and actions in mind. Um, whether you're looking to leave social media or not entirely or not. So consistency, that doesn't mean posting constantly or even daily. Most of our small business clients, we do well with around 3 posts per week. I think it's only with some of our larger organizations, like our larger nonprofits, where they just have so much going on. It's like, all right, we got to be up. We got to schedule things like 5 days a week or something. But most small businesses don't need that. So just pick a schedule that feels sustainable for you, whether it's 3 posts a week or just one, and stick to it. The algorithm loves consistency. Your audience also loves knowing when they're going to hear from you, when to expect it. So consistency is good across the board in all your marketing. Like set a regular schedule for your email. Don't just like leave it for 3 or 6 months and then be like, oh yeah, I had an email list. So this building that consistent cadence is going to like help keep you top of mind and help you be there at the right moment when they're like, oh, I'm ready to go all in on what this person is offering. And interestingness, in short, just give the people what they want. Make it useful or funny or revolutionary, but make it something that your audience will want to look at for more than zero point 0.2 seconds. Um, and I think that thinking about the story behind why you're talking about something, um, it's something that you're always going to need in your marketing. Like I feel like right now a lot of places are talking about like story 2026 is the year of the storyteller. and and that never really stopped being. Every year is the year of the storyteller. So, people don't necessarily people don't necessarily care that, oh yeah, I got like, you know, X% of, I saw like, um, sorry, like totally brain farting here. But yeah, it was like, oh yeah, I got really, I added like, 20 pounds to my deadlift or whatever, or some impressive number. They're gonna care about, oh, now I can pick up my kid without throwing out my bag. So that's the kind of thing you want to be thinking about, where it's like not just like the result, but like, the context behind it and like how and like the feelings that go along with it. Because that's what's going to make it sticky with folks. It's going to make people wonder like what all is going on behind the scenes. And action is the third one. And that is just to put a call to action on everything, on everything you put out. I'm not kidding. And even I could be better about that. But in marketing, as it often is in life, we got to ask for what we want. Um, and so your calls to action, you should ask for a sale at least some of the time, but it does not always have to be a sales ask. You can ask for a click through to a blog post. You can ask someone to hit reply to your email and be like, tell me about if you're struggling with something in this area. Um, or you can ask for a DM. You can ask them to leave a comment. Like asking for engagement is also a useful tactic that helps a lot on social media. It can also help you just get valuable feedback if you're using other channels too. As far as like what your audience wants to see, what they even read in the first place. But the goal is that, every piece of content you put out, you're asking for some sort of action that's going to support what you're hoping to achieve in your business. All right. And yeah, so I've made some recommendations that may sound great to you, or they may not. Um, I feel that how you engage with social media it is a really personal decision. Maybe it should be a more personal decision than it already is, but it matters that we feel aligned with the choices that we make in that space. So, as you move through all of this, remember that you're not simply thinking about what serves your audience or what serves your business, but also about what's serving you as a human being and what fits with your values and what works with your capacity, both from a practical and an emotional standpoint. And, whether you adjust your social media approach, quit entirely, you do have options. You don't have to do social media. Just do what you need to do to take care of your business and your village and be as radical as you want to be. All right. But yeah, thanks again for being here. We got time for questions if anyone has them. All right. And yeah, well, I'll give you a second to chew on that. I will. Yeah. So as you can see, yeah, you're welcome to shoot me an email. We're also on Instagram and LinkedIn. We are also on Blue Sky. That's not listed on here, but we are there. Um, you can also, I have a limited number of these every month, but I do offer 5-minute free online marketing audits. And then the weekly newsletter that I mentioned is the Radical Marketer. Oh yeah. So yeah, things in a similar vein to this, where we're really just trying to poke a hole in all of the standard marketing bro stuff and get really practical and more radical in this space.
I
All right.
I really like the idea of switching to something that is a lot more personal and
Mhm.
intentional with the emailing list. I'm wondering if you have any tips on getting a newsletter up and running if that's not something you've done before.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I think that a lot of times when we're talking about spinning up consistent email marketing, I think the first thing is like, all right, who are the people who are in your orbit right now? Like, your past clients, your current clients, your colleagues, and just looking at those folks, it is important to get their permission before you add them to a list. So you'll definitely want to like give them the option to say yes or no before you put them on a list. But yeah, that can sort of like give you that core starting audience with those if those people are like, yeah, send me your marketing emails. And then from there, yeah, that's kind of where the outreach piece comes in. Um, so yeah, you can like promote it on other channels, like definitely have some kind of opt-in on your website. Um, and there's also what's called a lead magnet. And that's basically, if somebody is like offering like, here's my free tip sheet about X, Y, and Z, or like product-based businesses will do like, oh, get 15% off your first order or something like that. But yeah, just that little extra nugget to entice someone to subscribe to your list. And so that can also be really helpful in terms of growing that list. But yeah, just getting started. And also test drive a few different email marketing platforms. Don't just pick the one because your bestie said it was great, because yeah, every platform has its quirks and some of them just work better with different brains versus others. So pick something that like feels easy to use, or at least comparatively so.
Thank you so much. The presentation was really great, and I'm really glad that we're having this conversation, especially at this moment in time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. And go ahead. Got Gloria raised hand.
Yeah, I got a couple of comments and thoughts. Okay, so with this newsletter list, right?
Hmm.
How do you stop people? No, okay, so how do you stop people from unsubscribing? Because once a week to me seems a lot. And so I've, talked to folks, try to collaborate, and it's like they put me on their list, but it's like I get the automation like day 2, day 3, week 1. It's like it's so much information at a time. And I know that email marketing is it, but I mean, is it just you pick the cadence? Because I mean, one time a week, I'm just saying for me, 4 times a month to me is a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and it absolutely is. Like you pick the cadence. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I was definitely like I've only been doing like the weekly newsletter since like last August or yeah. And I think we were doing like maybe monthly sends on the regular newsletter. But yeah, just like something that's regular is gonna be
Okay.
yeah, consistency is more important than frequency. But yeah,
Okay.
as far as like stopping people from unsubscribing, yeah, I mean, just like, I mean, a lot of that is just around the content. If it's interesting enough for them to read, if it's relevant to them anymore. But yeah, I think there's also like a mindset shift a little bit to be had there because yeah, I basically when someone is unsubscribing from my list, I'm thinking of it as like, okay, they're not in my audience anymore. They're not interested. So they are showing themselves to the door. That is okay. I was not going to
Okay.
get engagement from them anyway. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Because
so then
you
my other question is with the contact list, right? So
hmm
like you have 1,000, 1,500 contacts that you've met over the last 2 years, right? That's your list. And you're
hmm
starting brand new. How are you getting consent from folks? Like how are you getting consent? Because I'm trying to figure out how to approach that. I got 2,000 people. Am I supposed to segment everybody first? Or am I just supposed to send out a generic, hey, welcome to 2026, unsubscribe if you like kind of thing? Like, how does that process work?
Yeah, I mean segmentation doesn't necessarily have to be a piece of that. It can just be a blanket message to like, oh, I'd like to add you to my list. If you want in, say yes. Otherwise, no. Yeah, that's likely how I would approach it, is like have something they can click on to opt in really easily. But yeah, I think segmenting can come maybe a little later in the process, perhaps, unless there's like, yeah, I guess it depends on like what those segments would be in your mind. Because yeah, like if it's like, oh, if it's like these are my past clients versus like this is somebody I talked to once at like a mixer or something, then yeah, maybe you'll want to like write a different message to your clients versus that person you met that one time. But yeah, I think just a simple like I'd love to have you on my list. Click here to opt in. That's just yeah, that's probably the simplest way to do it.
Okay, and then I got another question regarding going whatever, YouTube, LinkedIn Live, or whatnot. Do you have a platform recommendation that allows you to do that with two collaborators so you can both stream to your own audiences?
Yeah, yeah, I am not 100% sure about I'm not 100% sure about streaming to both to like everyone all of the presenters as audiences, but yeah, I've used StreamYard before as a tool that will like it'll let you hit multiple platforms. So that's really helpful. It also lets you invite, excuse me, also lets you invite your collaborators so they can more easily share it with their audiences. So, oh yeah, I think that would be a good starting point. StreamYard is a good tool for that. Okay. All right. And so questions in the chat. All right. Oh yeah. What? All right. So unique and successful. Yeah. What have you seen the result of businesses that disengage from social media? Um, yeah. I don't know that I have personal experience to to share on that front. Because yeah, a lot of my clients are still like they're still on social media, or they're like maybe midstream and figuring out what it's going to look like long term. Yeah, I think at this stage, it's very much I'm just like getting the idea out there that like this doesn't have to be a requirement, but I know that there are like multiple folks out there. I would have to pull their names, but oh yeah, Amelia Harubi is one, Hruby. She talks about a lot about like quitting social entirely and going into I believe she went all in on email and it worked out really well for her. So she's a good resource for that. Um, but yeah, and then yeah, a unique and successful non-social media marketing tactic I've seen in the wild. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that the first one that jumps to mind is something I saw in a non-social space is that I'm on an email list for an independent journalism publication. And the subject line said, "For the love of God, stop sending me fundraising emails." And then I opened the email and it said, "If you make a donation today, we will stop sending you fundraising emails for the rest of the year." And it worked. I gave them $10. So yeah, it's helpful to like think a little bit out of the box like that. I really loved how that just like called out like the situation that everyone was in like, the entire like end of Q4 like fundraising push, just like everyone and their dog was emailing, like asking for funds, and they were just like, "Yes, we know that you're you are feeling this right now." And here's a way here's a way that you can get us to stop sending you emails. I thought that was really smart. All right. Yeah. So if we don't have anything else, I appreciate y'all being on.